I have this new putty that I got when I was in DC, and it's like the thinking putty, and they had all different scents. They had citrus, they had zen. Sorry, this is boring. Okay.
No. That's tell me more about the putty.
Tell me more.
Did you like Grease when you were a kid?
Yeah, of course.
Grease and Grease 2 meant everything to me.
Same. We should watch it together
I
sometime.
love Grease 2. That's such a good movie.
We should totally watch and sing along sometime.
Cool Rider.
Yeah.
Is a great reproduction.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that Grease was amazing, but it's like, don't sleep on Grease 2. I don't think Grease 2 is like bad for the genre.
Mm-hmm.
Grease's plot really isn't outstanding or anything.
I really liked the hairdresser. I always really resonated with her.
Frenchie?
Yeah, Frenchie who got the abortion.
Nope. 2 different people.
Okay.
Frenchie was the girl with the pink hair.
Yeah, that was...
Rizzo was the one who had the abortion.
I had a mixed identity within both of them.
I was all about Rizzo.
Okay.
I was like, when I used to like sing, there were worse things I could do when I was like 13. Like I had no understanding of what that song was about.
Yeah.
But I was like, this is about me.
Yeah,
this is about me. I love Rizzo.
I loved the pink hair girl.
Frenchie.
Because she was always just like smacking her gum. And
who's the one who's maraschino, like the cherry? Who is she? What's her first name?
I don't know. It feels so distant, but yet it was something that was so big. It was such a big part of my life. Like you had to be one of the Grease girls for Halloween, you know?
You had to.
I don't know if I actually did, but I thought about it a lot.
I had a Grease themed birthday party.
Oh,
I love.
How could you bury the lead like that, Hannah?
Well, because I didn't know how long we'd talk about it.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Did the boys show up in Grease outfits?
No. I was like in middle school. There were no boys.
Oh, yeah. No boys drool.
No boys at the... My brother was there, but...
Was he dressed up? He was... Oh, really?
Him and my dad just like lived at the house where the party happened. Okay. Should we do the intro?
Yeah.
I'm Hannah Gerlander.
And I'm Nora Freed.
And you're lining to New Yorker of the Week.
New Yorker of the Week.
See, that's becoming the song.
New Yorker of the Week. I feel really good. Did that just come from the ceiling? There was a drip.
No,
okay.
It came from my cup.
Because sometimes it comes from the ceiling. I feel really good about this week. I feel like last week was great. Mm-hmm. We were a little heated, a little hot. Still a little heated, a little hot. But
I feel more hot now.
Really?
Because I was listening to our episode, and like when I came over, and it was like armpit waxing. You had been like watching videos all day, seeing what was going on, and we're like, we can't wax our armpits. We have stuff to talk about. But I had like not touched my phone that day. I had just like heard what's going on, but I hadn't like been immersed in it. Mm-hmm. The day after we recorded, I had the day off, and I spent way too much on my phone. And then I was like, something needs to be done right now. And I almost wish we recorded. Like, I wish we were in the same, like listening to the recording. I'm like, I'm not as fired up as I should have been. That was my takeaway.
Well, you can let it out here.
Yeah, I feel a little more angry and frustrated now.
Yeah.
Of course I was angry and frustrated, but it was like I had heard what was going on. I hadn't seen it. No one was in my bubble that day. No one was talking about it. So it was just like when I got here, it was like, this is my first conversation, and now I'm learning more what's happening. But then it was like the next day I was like, I've seen the videos. I'm deeply disturbed. Yeah. I'm really upset. Something needs to happen like yesterday about this.
Yeah.
Which I think was where you were at when we recorded.
Yeah. I'm still there. I feel like I am trying to be more strategic now about how I can help. And having our guest on today is because I feel like sometimes like going to the protest was great. Mm-hmm. And I'm really glad I did that. And I'm glad we started the fundraiser on our podcast page, but it felt very little like in the grand scheme of things when I'm also in a TikTok hole watching videos and I'm just like having this existential crisis. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, and then today our guest today is, should we just tell everyone what it is? It's soft power votes. And I feel like that is like, I feel like we're getting to the point of the week where I'm like, okay, now we're going to like vote someone in, hopefully who will like help with this situation. Yeah. Right. And so that's like, that makes me feel a little better. I'd say I'm more depressed now a little bit, more than angry.
That'll be me in a couple days.
Yeah, you'll get to the depression
not
phase.
at the
It's
depression
the
phase
signs
yet.
of grief. But yeah, it's the devil's birthday today. So I really hope that everyone
That took me a second. I was like, I didn't know he had a birthday. It's Trump's birthday. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know like he had a day that we knew was the devil's birthday.
I'm a little on edge because of that, because I'm worried about what's going down right now in my hometown, and here, but also like specifically in DC, because like my family and I have friends and stuff there. I'm just like, okay, like let's get this day.
That was the second layer of videos I'm in. It's actually really upsetting to be on my phone. It's literally like videos of what's happening at the protests and what's happening where people are showing up to their court hearings and just being taken away, like deeply disturbing videos. Then it's videos of people showing what's happening, the setup in DC. And it's like, how can that be going on and that be going on at the same time? Like, so insane, so unaware, but, well, aware, he just doesn't care. And then my phone hates me. It's like videos of like dogs that if they don't get adopted are going to be put down.
I have the same setup, but my last one, is a little bit of dogs too, because we've been sharing. So you've spread a little dog. We've been spread some dogs between each other.
Yeah.
So I have
spreading some dogs between each other.
I have the same lineup as you, except mine in the end is weight loss videos and transformations.
That's upsetting.
They're like, and they list out which happens to be my weight seems to be the starting weight for some people.
That's upsetting. There's nothing.
I thought I'd
worse.
done. It's nothing worse than when you become the starting weight, because I'm like, you guys, I just did all the work. I'm not the starting. Okay,
Yeah.
we're done. Like I'm
stop
done.
showing me these. Stop showing me these.
So they're like, this person's this many pounds, and look at them in 3 weeks when they only eat grapefruits and shoot up Ozempic every day. And I'm
You're
just
like, can you believe
I'm
that
like,
works?
I'm like, oh, okay. Because I feel pretty proud about my body right now. So I'm just like, yeah, well, TikTok doesn't feel that way. So
I think Reels is worse because like if you watch something for even 2 seconds, the Reels algorithm, like TikTok gives you a little bit of everything, and then if you really get into something, they'll give you more of it. Reels is a little too like all your eggs in one basket. If you watch a video of a protest, you watch the whole thing, that is all you'll see. If you save a video of someone making a smoothie, you will only get smoothies.
Your Jumbo Juice.
Hope you don't want to learn about the protest. Hope you didn't want to see a funny dog video. It's smoothies. Like you have to be careful on Reels.
You watch one Christian like Get Ready With Me girl with with 7 husbands or 7 wives. There's never 7 husbands.
There's literally never 7 husbands.
I would wake up every day going to Reels. It was all Christian, like Get Ready With Me, welcome to my Amish life, like, and I was like, okay, this was like fine.
I have to be quick with those. Even when I'll start reading the captions. If they're like, thank you God for today, it's like, so swipe. I don't want Reels to get confused for a second. Like I do kind of want to laugh at it, but I'm like, I can't risk it because my algorithm is already like not good.
Do you remember when all my Reels were that? And I was kind of like, okay.
Because you were watching them for fun and now they're like,
and I watched till the end, of course. I'm not going to leave halfway through. And she's showing me, 10 of her 55 kids. Like she's naming them all out.
You might as well meet them all.
Yeah, I want to meet them all.
You know what was always insane that I would watch all of, and I don't know why, those videos where they were like I'm grandma and I think she's having a boy. I'm the grandpa and I think she's having a girl. And it'd be like a 3-minute video and it's like, why do I need to finish this? They don't even tell you the gender at the end.
Grandma.
Do you know those videos?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
And it's like
they interview everyone. They interview everyone.
The biggest baby shower you've ever seen in the middle of a field. And it's like they interview everybody.
It's always in the middle of a field.
It's always outdoors.
It's like, where's the bathroom?
And it's so they don't tell you the gender at the end. I do not know this family. I don't know anything about them. But I would be like, yeah, I gotta finish this.
Yeah, like I'm Aunt Tracy, and I think it's a girl.
I think it's a girl. And they're always doing those. And then there's like always that one cousin who's like, we just hope it's a happy baby, a healthy baby. And it's like, come on, put your guess in.
Yeah, they're like, Cousin Richard, shut the fuck up.
And now I started doing that. I have a couple people in my life that are pregnant, and I'm telling them, you're carrying
I'm
low.
Hannah, and I think
it's a girl.
What is it? You're carrying low.
If it's a low, apparently, like, what do I know? Like a low belly apparently means it's a girl, and a high belly means it's a boy.
I'm sure I'll get to this in my book.
You'll get to the low and high belly.
Yeah, we're in the womb right now. Each chapter is a different. So the first chapter. I'm reading this book called Eve. It's the 200 million history of a female body, and it has each chapter is like a piece of a woman's body. So like the first chapter was milk, and now we're on womb. That's why the ovaries. I flipped to the ovaries this morning. It's a really intense thing to read right before bed, but it's that or the other book that I'm reading, Piece of Cake by Cupcake Brown. So it's kind of like it's like, which choice do you want to learn about the woman's body, or do you want to learn about someone who had a really hard struggle in life and it's
like if those are your only options for bed, I guess it's Eve.
I guess it's
a lighter read.
Yeah, it is really the female body's pretty crazy though. I have to say, like the more I'm reading the book, I'm like, wow, we got a lot going on. It's on in there.
I feel like we all talk about pregnancy and babies like it's no big deal.
Yeah,
but when you really think about it, the fact that we are just built to grow and give birth to and then feed another human being is actually insane.
It's really nuts.
Like if you really think like, oh, my body, if I wanted to, could grow a baby, house a baby, birth the baby, and then create what I need to feed the baby and then I naturally like, okay, so they say like mommy brain where like you start like you're not thinking as much, like you can't do math and you can't read a book or whatever. They're like your brain is not doing well, you have brain fog, but it's like you could off the top of your hand tell you the last time the baby ate, when it needs to sleep, when it's not feeling well, what, like you can think crazy about the baby. It's like your brain is now programmed to watch, care for, and like raise this baby to the best of your ability. Like that's insane.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Yeah,
like I don't really get how we ever got to a point where like men were like the dominant, you know what I mean? Because it's like, what do they do?
Nothing.
What do they do? Like we are
Name
the
one
reason
thing a man does. Nothing.
Silence.
No one said anything.
No one said anything. We did not stop talking, but like no one said anything that they could do.
I said to my mom, I was crying about, oh, there goes the light.
Wow.
Hopefully the lights aren't bad. I was crying to my mom about how I don't have a partner. And I was like, yeah, there's something I'm doing that's, I think men don't like I think I'm like all men, like all, like even just like a friend, like a man, like they seem to be very agitated by my presence, and she's like, you should think about that. And it's just kind of like, yeah, I guess I should think about that. And then I was like, but I won't.
You're not gonna.
Because I don't care that much. No, I mean, I do have some, I still have some men in my life, but I just recently, it's been every time I go on a date, like I can't help but ask, do you like your mom? Who are you voting for?
You gotta be careful with the mom question.
I know. It's hard for me to imagine being.
I'm starting to think the more I learn, like, I feel like I always thought a mama's boy who loves his mom is a good partner, right? Like that is a man who gets women, but that's a man who gets one woman. You know what I mean? You gotta have a nice distinction. Like, how do you feel about your mom? But also, is there a nice separation there?
What's the last gift you bought your mom is what I'm going to start asking.
If she and I, maybe this isn't good for first date. If she and I had differing opinions on something, where are you leaning? You know what I mean? Like where are you headed?
Yeah.
You need to be careful with, I feel like everyone knows Wolf is a mama's boy, but like before him,
I feel like we're getting into specifics here. But
no, because before him, I dated two other guys, like one back in college, but then one like when I post-pandemic, who like really loved their moms. And I was like, that's what you want. That's what you want. And then it would be like, well, my mom said, and I was like, who gives a fuck what your mom said? Like, we're talking. Like, what do you mean what your mom said?
Yeah.
You gotta be careful
Do you remember in elementary school when you would say a word and then someone would be like, well, my mom said that actually means blah, blah, blah. Or my dad told me blah, blah, blah.
And I hated that kid because like my parents didn't tell me anything. So it was like, well, I have cooked up on my own this. So I'm standing alone. You have an army of your family and I don't.
Yeah. Like my mom says blah, blah, blah. That's kind of what that sounds like.
And I think that like triggers something to me because you've been on calls with my mom. She's not weighing in. She's like has thoughts and opinions, but like, if I were to bring something to her, she'd be like, something to think about. And then she walks it off.
When I brought something to her, because sometimes I'm looped in on the FaceTime calls with Hannah and her mom, which are so amazing.
They're good.
And I said something to her and she was like, well, that's not your problem, Nora. You can't really, I said someone hurt your feelings or hurt my feelings. And I was like, what did she say? She was like, She's like, Nora, well, they didn't know they were hurting your feelings. That's your problem, not theirs. I was like,
my mom's saying is like, you can only control yourself.
Yeah.
That is like, I would even tell her like, as a mother, like, I need this from you. Mm-hmm. And she'd be like, you can only control yourself. And I'm like, okay.
My mom, sometimes I feel like, okay, we do need to do a retreat with our moms at some point because the dinner was amazing.
My mom seemed to be like really dying to tell us about her trauma. We asked like how many kids she came from. She's like, so my father was an alcoholic. And we were like,
but see, my mom is like me where she'll be like, okay, let's hear it. I want all the tea. And then I have a connection. I have someone that you can talk to. It's like the Jewish mother that comes out. But my mom was like, whenever I came with, or still do with anyone, she'd be like, that fucking asshole. Like, if you want the girl who's going to fight for you and like have your back, my mom is like, let's go. So like one time I told her.
That is not my mom.
One time I told her that like I didn't like my kindergarten teacher when I was little. And I came home crying and I showed her a picture of my kindergarten situation, which was me crying. I drew a picture of me crying in the playground at kindergarten and said, Mom, this was me today. So drama.
The way my mom would have been like, walk it off.
My mom went in, had a conversation with the teacher and the teacher quit. Like that the next year.
See, that's crazy. See, this makes sense why you're like so community forward. You know what I mean? Like the community showed up for you.
The community, not everyone, but my mom will fight. Like you told something to my mom, when you were having the mold issue or whatever, my mom was like, let's go. Let's get a lawyer.
What my mom said? She said I should sit down and talk to him and see if we can work it out. I actually have so many memories of times in high school where genuinely like I was being wronged and I told her and she's like, you need to fight your own battle. Like that's why I think when people try to help me, I get kind of like back off, which is not a good instinct to have because like people are trying to help. But it was like never. It's even with like Wolf's mom. Like she'll be like trying to help me, and then versus telling my mom something, and she's like, figure it out. I get very like I assume people are like thinking I can't handle something, but I think it's because like from like a really young age, my mom and dad were like, I don't know why you're bringing this to us. Can you not figure this out on your own?
Yeah, like you're 4 years old.
They're like, could you figure
can
this
you
out
drive
on
the
your
car
own?
already?
Could you figure this out on your own?
License?
So I feel like now I'm kind of like, I'm anti-help. Because any help I ever asked for, they were like, could you walk this off? Could you figure it out?
And I'm always excited to help.
You're always excited to help. And I feel bad because it's coming from a good place and I should be open to accepting help. But like, and not just you, I've vented about many people. When people like are like, okay, this is what you need to do, or like, okay, this is how I can help. The feeling I get in my chest, like I'm so frustrated immediately. Like it heats me up immediately. Even like that's why the vacation with Wolf's mom, you know, that's a week away. That's a week of just living with a helper. And that's
coming up in a week?
No, it was a whole week vacation.
Oh, yeah.
Living with someone who wants to help and fix.
Yeah.
I had to go on lots of solo walks.
I think you and my mom though would really, I mean, you guys already do really vibe from your hangs. Well,
your mom's actually really calm.
Yeah, she's calm and she's like, she's a fighter and she's like, let's be strategic about getting our redemption.
Yeah.
And so I think you would like that. Whereas I think I've kind of, as an offspring of her, I have a little bit of that, but I'm also like, let's get the community together and something. I don't really know
You
how
want
to
the
describe
group.
it.
You want the group.
I guess we're actually very similar.
You and your mom?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like she was being really funny at the dinner.
She's so funny. She doesn't know she's funny, but she's so fucking funny.
She's really funny.
She says stuff just so like nonchalantly, and you're just like, you like just like it just rolls off like no problem.
I'm pretty sure we already talked about it, but like her telling that hurricane story.
Yes, like that is so funny.
And telling us the story of like being like in immediate danger and being like, I think I made a bad idea. And she's holding you as like a 1-year-old. I was like, this is so funny.
Yeah.
Like saying it in front of, I feel like both our moms have the similarity of saying stuff to us that to us is obviously like, wait, what? And they're like, can you not make this about you?
We love you, moms.
I love my mom.
We love you, moms.
I was listening to a podcast where someone was saying like being around their parents, like bring them so much joy in a way like they couldn't have expected when they were younger. And that is how I feel when I hang out with my mom and her friends.
Aww.
Like it's so like I can't even, I don't even want to go to therapy and unpack my mom because it's like I just
it is really fun hanging out with like seeing your mom older with their friends and them being like, we're all old.
And it's like I'm the same as her.
Yeah.
Like we are the same.
We are truly the same.
Like
I always am like, I'm so
in
different. And
group?
I'm like, no, we are literally, we play the same role in the group. We're the same person. We have the same wake up, send you a video about something terrible that's happening in the world. That's me and my mom.
Yeah.
Like,
my mom and the little mice and me and all my little mice.
We're our moms.
Wait, how did we even get here?
I don't know. So, but we're done. And now we are going to talk about voting with two people who are so smart and so just like articulate.
And actually moms are a good lead-in because nobody wants you to vote more than I bet our moms do.
Literally.
Like our moms want to see you at the polls.
Yeah. So we hope you enjoy this. We got soft power votes to come on. Melissa and Molly.
They were amazing, really informative.
If you don't know what they are, what they do, you just go to soft power votes. Or is it soft power vote? I think it's soft power votes. Yeah. Plural. Go.
That's not even an S.
Go to soft power votes on Instagram and you'll see exactly what they're doing and you'll understand why they're so fucking cool.
Yeah. It was a great interview.
All right. Enjoy and
happy voting.
Please vote.
We're serious.
I feel like we're about to get into, if you don't, we're done.
We're now we're talking to you, Middle.
Well, they can't because they're not in New York for this one. Anyone in New York, actually, we're talking to Middle America. You're fine. Like
if
we're
you're here,
good now.
If you're here in New York,
you're here in New York, and
from Middle America,
and you didn't vote, if you
need to register here.
If you're here right now, if you're in New York City and you don't vote on the 24th by the 24th, so you could have voted before, but maybe you didn't, and so now you got to go to the polls, and you give me any excuse as to why, I'm going to say that's not an excuse. So you take that. So take that.
That's pretty scary, you guys. You say that, I'm going to say nope.
Did you not hear earlier how I said I'm like my mom, and my mom made the kindergarten teacher?
I think we have a lot of coffee in us versus food. Like Nora just has like eggs, cottage cheese, and mustard in her, and like a pretty big.
Well, I have to say is the apple doesn't fall hard from the
It's crazy. It's gonna go to this to like us really put together talking about voting.
Just know something. Okay, we gotta go. I was gonna do one more threat, but I'm not going to do that. Okay. Yeah. Love you, Hannah.
Love you.
Enjoy this interview, everyone. Okay. Yes. Hi. We are so excited today because we have two guests who are doing, I would say, the Lord's work.
Yeah, really amazing.
I literally am just I've been relying on you guys for a minute now. I was saying this to Molly when they first came in. Like, you guys are really doing it for NYC. We have Melissa and Molly, who both run Soft Power Votes, which is essentially they create like voter guides that are liberal leaning. And
probably without even knowing it, you've probably used one of their voter guides, you've watched one of their info clips, like you've probably relied on them without even knowing it.
And their online presence is just awesome too. Like we'll get into this, but like all your graphics and stuff, you make voting fun and you make it interesting. And I think it's just so important to get people involved. And especially right now with our mayoral election around the corner, cough, cough, fuck Cuomo. We really need you guys because I'll be like, where do I register? Just go to Soft Power Vote, see what the fuck they're talking about, and then just do whatever they're doing, you know? Anyways, hi guys, welcome.
Thank you for being on.
Hi.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're really excited about this. I was like telling a lot of people
It's
about
also
this.
coming out at like the perfect time too.
The perfect
When is this going to come out?
This week.
This Thursday.
Early voting. Primary
Yeah.
era.
It's big. Let's vote. Okay. And reminder, vote June 24th. But we're going to say that 100 times throughout all the questions.
We are going to say that 100 times.
Perfect.
We know our deal.
Like the hypnosis, and then you can just say,
you just keep saying
vote June 24th. Vote June 24th. Okay. I'll shut the fuck up.
That's how we do things here. But anyway, do you both want to tell us like how you met and how this started and how this came to be?
Okay. Because when you point, Molly, you're pointing to Nora and Hannah, so I love that. Okay, Nora and Hannah,
We'll tell you.
We can guess.
Yeah, Nora and Hannah, will you tell us how Soft Power Vote started?
we met in a super millennial 2020 way, like online. We met through the project, through Soft Power Vote. I think like Molly and Glenn, our Soft Power Vote's co-founder, like really linked, and then Glenn was like, Molly's going to be a part of Soft Power Vote now. But it was like a really organic way, and it was like a natural fit because Molly is super tapped into this stuff and really passionate about it. So yeah, that's how we met.
Did you meet in New York?
We're locked in. And also like Molly and I just are kind of coming off of like I guess like the season of New Ink, which is like a cultural incubator with the new museum. So I feel like now Molly and I are like very locked in.
Very locked in. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, we met in New York.
That's awesome.
Soft Power Vote started in New York, so yeah, we definitely met in New York.
When did Soft Power Votes like officially start?
We launched May 20th, 2020.
Cool.
And yeah, we started in 2020. I mean, I pitched the project to a friend, and so we kind of started working on the project before COVID hit, you know, like months before we launched, I guess, which I think is helpful to know. Like, just more so, I think launching during 2020, during the summer of 2020, during like Black Lives Matter protests, during COVID lockdowns, it felt very urgent for this project. But I just like to preface it that like I think New York needed something like this way before COVID. But launching during that time, definitely, there was a sense of urgency around it.
Cool. That's awesome.
And so and also is Glenn, like who's Glenn? I was like, wait,
should we have invited Glenn?
Is Glenn here?
So I pitched doing a voter guide for New York to my friend Yohira, and she's like very like also just immersed, and was someone that would, when I moved to New York, was someone who was always like, if you have any questions about voting or anything, like text me, like hit me up. And I literally did. I was like, hey girl, I'm in line. Think about this person. What about and she just was like very accessible. And so I pitched the idea to her, and her friend was like, we were at an art show. It was very cute, very New York. And she's like, yeah, this is a great idea. My friend Glenn would be super into this. And he's like, yeah, that'd be great. So the three of us started working on it together. And Glenn was a graphic designer. And so
okay, amazing.
He recently moved out of New York. Bless his heart.
Glenn, we miss you.
Yeah, we're all still like texting.
This one's for Glenn.
Yeah, brings him out for Glenn. He's a real person. He's still like a core part of the project, but he doesn't live here anymore. And so anywho, yeah, he was helped co-found it, and then he and I really did the project for a majority of 2020 and into 2021, and that's when Molly joined. And up until, maybe this year, Glenn was like really a part of it. He's still a part of it.
Still here.
Yeah. Glenn
That's like an entity.
That is
I feel like I know Glenn.
Okay, well, that's amazing. So Glenn was also graphic designer, was probably helping with the designing stuff and everything.
So Glenn is super responsible for like the graphic identity and like the visual identity of Soft Power Vote. Like I fully credit him for that, and I think that's like a core part of the project and like one of our core values, if you will, of just like making it cute, making it shareable, making it fun,
seriously,
uplifting.
because I talked to Nora a lot about how like I felt this way for a while, like the stuff I didn't know about like what was going on in politics and voting. I felt like, everyone else knows, I don't know. So then I felt stupid, like asking questions or being curious, because I was like, I guess everyone seems to know. So having these like guides where you can just like in one click catch yourself up and learn and know what to do, and like the questions you're like, I should have already learned this, are like right there for you laid out, I feel like is amazing.
That's awesome to hear. And I think that's also, not to be like a core principle of the project, but like making it in our tone, like how we would talk to a friend, is also really important to us. And so that's something we worked very closely together on. That's something like Molly and I are always like in conversation about, like, this is like a little over my head. Like, how can we break this down and make it more tangible for folks? And, and also like I grew up in California. So I feel like things that may seem like what you were saying, Hannah Hannah and Nora. And you guys are in a cube, so you guys are Hannah and Nora. Yeah, I mean, things that like we think we're expected to know because it's like voting and like our civic duty, sure, but like when you move from state to state, it's like very different from state to state. So like actually, I don't think we are expected to know this stuff, because for me, moving to New York, voting here is very different than California in terms of the information we're being given from the state, from the city, and even like independently. I think that I grew up in San Francisco and there were lots of independent guides and resources, and New York does have some of that, but New York is just so much bigger that it doesn't have something to the scale of like what New York City as a whole needs. And so that was something that I felt was different. But voting here is very different than California, so I don't think
I feel like we're losing.
we should all feel like we should be expected to know what
I think
it's
you're
like.
cutting out a little, Melissa.
And New York is
Oh no.
probably one of the most opaque.
While Melissa's rebooting, I have a
reboots.
question, Molly. Maybe Melissa cut out for a little bit. Hopefully she just has a little reboot. But what are your core values? I'm curious, because Melissa mentioned them a couple of times. I'm curious, like, core values do you guys have?
So, I think it's like largely about making it like cute, accessible, having a conversational tone, covering everything. I think Melissa, was going to get to the city's guide doesn't factor in, like, it says judges are running, but then there's nowhere to look and say who those judges are. There's like even farther down ballot positions that are like volunteer or like party county, like just really wonky stuff. And the New York City guide is just like, girl, good luck. Like,
Yeah.
Like figure it out when you get there.
like not only do they just stop and like not mention it's running, like they're running or that will be on the ballot, they just kind of leave it off entirely. And so another core value is just to like be super comprehensive. We have a criteria that we sort of vet candidates against. And so it's the New York we want to see. It's, like making it affordable, actually like funding the arts. Our parks and libraries funded, basically everything Eric Adams isn't doing. And so
All he does is thread his eyebrows and like what? Sorry, continue, Melissa. Molly. Sorry.
Yeah. And so I think all of those things together, like we'll always have a take. It makes it hard that a lot of, voter projects with funding, like, have to be nonpartisan or are encouraged to be nonpartisan. And like, we absolutely are like, if you trust our politics and our values, like, then this is the political home for you to learn about what's on the ballot.
What's making you, and maybe we should save this for when Melissa rejoins, but we'll just get into it. What part of NYC politics right now makes you laugh the hardest, and what makes you the most heated?
Oh,
It's a spicy question.
that's fun.
Like for me, Eric Adams constantly doing interviews while getting his eyebrows threaded is like, honey, what? We're all already really mad
I
at you.
feel like this could be the same.
Yay, Melissa's
answer.
back. Well, repeat the
I've
question.
used Riverside so many times that like I was like, this is bound to happen.
No.
Yeah.
You're good. Our question for Molly was, well, we talked about core values, which she did a great job of explaining. But then what part of NYC politics makes you laugh the hardest, and what makes you the most heated?
Okay.
Okay.
I haven't answered yet. You know some time. Okay, you put the Eric Adams thing into my head, so I'm gonna rock with it.
Okay.
There's like a supercut of him just saying that like city is the blank of America, and it makes me laugh every single time. So he'll be like at like a Irish embassy event, and he'd be like, you know, I always say that New York is the Dublin of America. But he does it like literally everywhere. Like New York is the Mexico City of America.
Someone
like
gave him the advice like that'll always sound good, and that's all he's taken.
and like I need you to go find it and like please put it in the episode because
Yeah, no, we will. We will. Sean's
so
amazing at that. Yeah.
I love that.
And I love that I hate him fundamentally. He's a bad mayor and a bad person. He's funny as hell. And so I hope that when he's no longer mayor in 6 short months, that he gets like a talking head gig somewhere because I just want him to keep being funny.
Yeah, he needs a talk show.
But like with like
needs a talk show.
the Brooklyn Nets or something like.
Yeah, something
Way away from politics.
no finger on the scale. Like I want his take on like Real Housewives. Like he's
Cyclones.
weekly commentator on Love Island. Hello. Like Eric Adams somewhere in the cultural zeitgeist, but like have nothing to do with decisions.
We need him and Andy Cohen together.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Money.
On New Year's Eve, that'd be funny as hell.
In a blackout.
Really good, like a disgraced mayor.
Yeah.
Ball drop.
How about you, Melissa? What's like making you laugh? What's making you the most heated?
I think what makes me heated, I'm going to start there, is always close primaries, to be like super nerdy. That is like the thing that when we were talking about moving from state to state was like maybe the biggest learning curve. And that's something that always comes up in New York because people want to do the right thing and not be registered with the Democratic Party. And then they message us like every single election cycle, like, why can't I vote? Why can't I vote? And it's just closed primaries. It's an archaic old thing that was like kind of meant to ensure diversity in electoral politics, but actually it just forces New Yorkers to vote Democratic and Republican. And like, sorry, babe, we're kind of past those two parties. So New York is just never going to get past that until like the state constitution is changed. And that's why also New York is like, you know, everyone's like, New York is so Democratic, it's so blue. It's like, no, we're forced to be Democratic here. Like, electeds are forced to register as a Democrat if they want to win anything. Hello, Eric Adams. That man was registered as a Republican, you know, until he wanted to run for mayor. And he had to run as a Democrat if you want to get elected. Like, sorry, that's just, Republicans aren't even having a primary. You know, it's just like, what's going on? That gets me heated.
What would you recommend for people like who are feeling like conflicted about the parties? Like for me, for example, like I am liberal leaning, obviously, and I want to be able to vote in the primary. So I registered as a Democrat. The Democratic Party, though, pisses me the fuck off. So, but I still registered as that. Is that the right thing to continue to do, or it just so that I can get involved? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think as long as this is the situation, like that's where we have the most change. You know, to Melissa's point, like early voting started today. It's Saturday, June 14th. And, you know, there's a reason that like 11 candidates are on the ballot. It's a reason that you can go ideologically from like Zoran Mamdani, who's the leftmost candidate, to like Whitney Tilson, who is literally a Republican. And to be able to have a say in who's going to represent the Democratic Party, I think we kind of, for the moment, have to register as a Democrat. And it sucks because it's very disenfranchising. I think someone in the city put out a report that 1 in 5 voters are independent without a party in New York. And so it's like 20% of voters aren't weighing in in the primary contests when you're really putting forth the candidates who will be on the ballot in November.
Yeah.
It's even worse than that. Like, just to add to that, the second largest voting bloc in New York State are independent voters. Republicans are not even the second largest voting bloc. They're like way, way lower than that. So you're disenfranchising like the second largest voting bloc in New York State. And sorry, just because New York City is such a big part of New York State, but like that's just kind of a big part of that in New York. So yeah, you're disenfranchising people. And what we try and tell folks is like, these are the these are the hoops we have to jump through to make sure our voices are heard, because New York is such a Democratic voting. It's like 80% of the registered voters in New York City are registered as Democrats. So it's just like a mass majority. And so that's why so much hinges on the primary election, because this is a partied race. By the time you get to November, because there are so few registered Republicans, it's just like really unlikely that a Republican will win unless you're like Bloomberg and you're a billionaire and you're able to just pump so much money into things, which, fun fact, after that election is why we have matching funds now. I don't know if that's like a thing that people are like super aware of, but Zoran Mandami has become a viable candidate because he was able to get city matching funds, enough money essentially to make him a viable candidate. So because New York City has this thing called matching funds through the Campaign Finance Board, and their fun project that everyone probably knows a little bit more of is NYC Votes. If candidates can qualify for matching funds, which essentially is like raising some money, but also getting lots of people to participate in your campaign, you qualify for matching 8-1. So Zoran maxed out. He raised $8 million that way. And the reason why they did that is because Bloomberg essentially bought his election. Yeah, how can you compete with a billionaire? That's oligarch shit. Sorry, that's just like you're paying to win. So anywho, that is why we have that. And essentially, you're just seeing the role of money in politics is like, that is what helped. Aside from Zoran having an engaging campaign with like video and all that stuff, he was able to raise money. And that is probably why his campaign is also so engaging, because they're able to like have resources for that. So that gets me heated.
Wow.
What makes it fun is like also the creativity coming out of these campaigns. Like I loved like seeing Brad Lander eat a hot dog on the cyclone, you know, on Coney Island. Like it was just so goofy. And Zoran Mandami's, I think Hot Girls for Zoran threw like a lookalike contest yesterday. It's like, y'all are like doing the New York things. And I love that. And I just love, I think this mayoral election cycle is the first time we're seeing like real digital strategy in campaigns. And I think that is like, it's hitting a chord. Like today we had New York Nico post a video with NYC Votes. We had Jay Key from Righteous Eats post a video with NYC Votes. Like, I'm sorry, and the Hot Girls for Zoran campaign, like they're so creative.
Yeah, we should get Glenn involved. We should get Glenn involved in their graphic team.
We know a lot of the people with the Hot Girls. That's like so many New York City comics are like
doing
those sketches, doing those videos.
And also, like on that note, like Jerry from Pigeon Pose also has a background in stand-up comedy and like smart, you know, like these people are smart and they're also like making it, like I feel so much more this year that South Park Vote is a part of like a network. Whereas like in the beginning, I kind of felt like, oh, we're like kind of one of the only ones, and now it's like a fabric, and that just feels so exciting.
It's awesome.
So what do you think, speaking of this election, which is coming up, which is why we're here, which is what we're talking about, what do you think makes this more important than other elections? I feel like sometimes what happens in New York is people assume other people are doing the work and that maybe they don't need to do the work. They don't need to vote. They don't need to like show up. I feel like that's something in like other elections you see. They're just like, oh, we're New York. We're going to do the right thing. We don't need to worry. We'll get it. Like, what do you think is more important this time with this election? Like why we need to show up with this election, like everybody does.
And can you explain a little bit for it as part of that? Like it's not the mayor is not just the guy who closes schools for snow. Like, can you guys explain a little bit on that for our listeners as well?
I'll start there. New York City is the biggest city in the country. We have almost 9 million people. It's not just about schools and snow, right? Like, we are we get to set a lot of the status quo of like how politicians work. Kind of like, I mean, AOC came out of here, like Hakeem Jeffries is like in line, I'm going to bring her house. Like, New York City political leadership has a really, really big role nationally. So that's like phase one. It's like New York, we have an opportunity right now, 2025, with so-and-so holding his little baby bitch parade in the Capitol today.
I'm from DC and I can.
Oh shit! Really?
Don't even.
Right. So, but that's what I mean. Like, to anchor it in this political moment, TM. Like, this is the first major election in the biggest city in the country that can kind of push back on the like. This was like the voters mandated this kind of bullshit. Like, no, New York didn't. New York, we have an opportunity to show that we want something else. We want an alternative. So that's, I think, step one. For like what the mayor actually does, they control the budget. And so the budget touches everything that gets funded in New York. So that they work with the city council to vote on a budget, but they draft it. They have their priorities. So they're working with making sure that the NYPD is funded, Eric Adams. They appoint all of the commissioners for every other city agency. So the Department of Buildings commissioner is the one that Eric Adams appointed was a former Republican city council member who resigned in disgrace for bribery. All the other, I like
to Molly to come with the
receipts.
Hey Molly, question for you. What's special about the New York City budget?
I mean, all of it.
It's one of the biggest budgets in the world.
Yeah.
Like it's $100 billion. This isn't just like every mayor manages the budget in every city. New York City has one of the biggest budgets in the world. And New York City is the richest city in the world. Like people say in these political worlds, like on Brian Lair or whatever, like being the mayor of New York City is like the second hardest job in the United States. So being vice president.
I mean, right,
Molly,
exactly.
About the budget, and that's why it's so impactful because it's the most money any city has in the world, and outside, like in addition to most countries in the world. That's why it's so important.
The NYPD budget alone is larger than many countries' full budgets, and so having someone who gets to direct those funds, like. I don't want to keep talking about Eric Adams. Like, he's so long gone. Like, goodbye, sir.
I love all this information. Keep
but
going.
Like, he wanted to cut the library budget. Like, the fact that on the debate stage, like, can you commit to 1% of the city budget being going to parks or libraries? I'm like, can we? It would be a fun exercise if we switched the NYPD budgets and library budgets for like a calendar year and just see how the city ran.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And so. It's not right. And it's like that the mayor appoints all of the agencies. They deal with the budget. So it's not just like how much money do these city agencies have to be resourced for the year. It's like who's in charge of those resources and who do we trust to make sure that the schools are working for the kids, to make sure that the libraries are open on the weekends and not just have books, but like our cooling centers, are places for people to access the internet if they don't have access to those resources. Like, there's so much that this city is so good at, and I think that the mayor should be in charge of like making it its best self.
Mm-hmm.
And just to like piggyback on Molly's great like explanation there, in terms of appointees, because that can sound really boring, but like one of the not because Molly said it, but because it is boring.
No, it's boring.
Like, it is a boring thing. Like, we don't know. It's like lots of appointees. But for example, one of the things that Zoran Mondami is running on is freezing the rent, right? And so the reason why the mayor can do that is because the mayor appoints a majority of the staff, or a majority of the, whatever they're called, people on the rent guidelines board. And you're going to start hearing a lot about that because they vote in like 2 weeks. It's always like the end of the fiscal year for the city is like summer, peak summer. It's the end of June. But so the mayor appoints the rent guidelines board, and they decide on whether rent stabilized units get a rent hike or not. And so, yeah, and so the mayor can dictate that. And because there are like 1 million rent stabilized apartments in New York, and so I don't know, 2 to 3 million New Yorkers live in rent stabilized units. That's what, like 30% of New York City's population. That's a lot of people. That affects a lot of people, right? And so also, if you're raising the rent on 1 million apartments, that also has like a market rate impact. So a lot of my friends are like, oh, I don't live in rent stabilized units. I wish I did, so I didn't get a rent hike, or that policy would impact me. And it's like, babe, that kind of policy impacts all renters. And New York City is like 80% renters or something.
Wow.
Don't quote me on that, but it's very close to 80%. It's like 75%.
Yeah, it's 70 something. Yeah.
Yeah. So anywho, it's just more like the mayor has like stupid amounts of power, and city council checks the mayor, but then there's so many city council people, it's like 51. So it's just like a lot more to organize, whereas the mayor is a little bit of a juggernaut.
Especially this mayor.
Yeah, this mayor's.
He loves going over their heads.
So yeah, that's
The turkey stuff, like
the turkey stuff.
The turkey stuff. That's gonna be the title of the episode. The turkey.
Istanbul is the New York of America.
he said that. That's a quote. Sorry.
No, for sure, that's direct. Yeah.
So we're like kind of on the cusp of time, like depending on how I don't know how your guys' morning's going, but
Yeah, cusp of time. Feels
cusp of
right.
time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have
What is
10
the
more
like?
minutes, but we have another podcast after this. So
Okay. We want to ask just one more question. I think that's probably good. Or do we have time for one more question? Does that work for you guys? Okay. Should we do this one or this one?
I feel like, well, this one's funny, but this one's informative.
do both. Do both. We'll let
Okay.
them.
We'll stay.
What's one NYC candidate or elected official you would want to be stuck with during a blackout? And who would you not trust with your bodega sandwich order?
Molly, do you want to go first?
Yeah.
I don't drink.
So
like
who would we be stuck
but this
with?
is more just like hypothetical, like funny.
So who would we be stuck with?
Like you're at the club or the bar
I mean, that's easy.
and you're in a blackout now. Who are you with?
That's easy. I feel like if I want to have like a good time, obviously it'd be like Chiose. Sorry. He's a party. He's a party. He used to
party.
work in nightlife. Like he would be fun. If I want to have like a nourishing evening, with like my tia and like we're cooking, we're talking, we're sharing stories, Alexa Aviles.
Okay.
She's amazing. She was my city council person in when I lived in Red Hook. She reps Red Hook, Sunset Park. Like every time I see her, she gives me a hug. She's really about that life and very community oriented. And she just reminds me of my tias, and I adore her. And she's running for re-election, so please support
Plug.
Alexa.
Cool.
Yeah.
Molly, who are you blacking out with?
Okay, he's on the ballot next year, so he has a beat to rest. But my state senator, Jabari Brisport, kind of does like both at the same time. Like he's great. He reps Bed-Stuy, Fort Greene, kind of just like everything up here. And he was a former elementary or I think middle school public school teacher, and he's just like a gay black DSA elected, and so he would
former Broadway or former actor. He was an actor.
where?
Or like he did like musical theater. I
Who
promise.
among us didn't used to do musical theater?
Anyway,
what I mean is I feel like he would be really great at both. Like he would be fun to like have a drink with, have a hang with, and like he'd make us all line up single file. You know what I mean? If we needed to find the exits, like he
Right.
contains multitudes. His like former public school background is like, okay, please behave. But also he can let loose a little, and I love Jabari, so big
I love
fan.
that.
And in Bed-Stuy, he often gets challenged by sort of like more run of the mill, middle of the road, sort of baked in Bed-Stuy electeds, and they come for him a lot. So I want to give a shout to all the good work he's doing in the district.
Cool.
Amazing. Okay, and then before we let you all go, what are like the key dates and information that you want to share with voters that you want, just the key dates and info people need to know to be ready for this election?
Just real quick, just
really
any
quick.
advice you have. This is an reminder
advice
that this
and
is
dates.
coming out on, we are on June 19th. So pretend it's June 19th.
It's June 19th.
What's your advice?
Early voting is still open between today, June 19th, is the day that it is, and June 22nd. Then there's a day off that Monday, and then election day, which is the last day to vote, is June 24th. Your election day site may differ from your early voting site, so follow Soft Power Vote on Instagram, and all of those links to everything you need to know is either in a graphic somewhere or in the link in bio.
Thanks, Glenn.
Thanks, Glenn. No, we do. Actually, we're doing these ones, but we love Glenn.
Glenn, we don't need you. Thank you.
We're learning very quickly how to do the graphic design.
Yeah. But we love that we had to start somewhere, and Glenn.
And that was with Glenn.
Glenn's
in the DNA. Glenn's in the DNA.
Yeah. Vote. Make sure today. Well, this is going to come out afterwards, but last day register to vote was today, June 14th. Just like stay engaged. So much like voting is just one tool in the toolbox of making change in your communities. So it's just something we just have to do, but like find other ways to stay involved and really start checking in with your neighbors and all of that. We really encourage folks to just talk to their friends and like be that person, like talk about this stuff, and let's like try and figure out what we know and don't know, and then try and find the answers together. Because that's like Molly and I don't know the answers to everything either. So we're constantly like searching for stuff. We're just regular New Yorkers, y'all. We don't work in politics.
We like it that way.
We like it that way, all that stuff. So yeah, hit us up if you have any questions, open DM policy, all that jazz.
And we're using ranked choice voting, and don't rank Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah, rank 5 for mayor. We really encourage people to rank 5, leave Cuomo off. That's the big push for this mayoral race. And also just city council's on the ballot, y'all. That's a huge...
We do everything, so come hang out.
A huge thing, yeah. Comptroller, borough president, depending on where you live. So there's so much more besides mayor on the ballot. So yeah, hit us up.
And literally hit them up because I DM'd you and I was like, where's the voting guide? I'm about to do this. And you guys were like, oh, hi, Nora. Hold on one second. But
can you hold on?
You guys are so responsive. I was like in a coffee blackout. Like, thank you so much. Like, and thank you so much for being here today. You guys are lovely. I hope you both run for something. I would vote for you guys. So I know they're like, no, we're not.
Can you hide the weird stuff up here? I don't know what this frame is going to look like, but make it cute.
Okay, yeah,
we'll make it cute.
We'll make it cute. We also, thank you so much for being on the pod. We love you guys.
Thank you so much.
You're doing the Lord's work. You really are.